What's going on, everybody? It is the big thing, and we're live. It's a Monday. Thank you guys for joining me here today. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking about Godzilla Minus One. Look at my non-spoiler thoughts on the film. Is it the best movie of 2023? I have my thoughts. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that for sure. Kevin Feige addresses the Tony Stark thing. They keep saying he's coming back. Well, he kind of puts it to rest for good. Is he playing coy or is it for real? We'll discuss that. There's so many trailers that came out. There's a bunch of trailers. House of the Dragon season 2 that came out. That trailer. We'll talk about that. Fallout had a trailer. We'll talk about that. And then what was the other one today? Godzilla and King Kong are running around the joint together like Rocky and Apollo on the beach in Rocky 3. Ocean's 11, I guess, is another movie coming out with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling reteaming. I don't know. Apparently. I checked out the Expendables. I watched a little bit of some other stuff. I watched a new movie called Major League with Charlie Sheen. So all that and more on today's show. If you haven't done it already, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and join us over on Spotify. I'm trying to build up Spotify, and we hope that you'll join us over there as well. Spotify's been a lot of fun and a lot of new people over there every day. So that's been great. Obviously, if you haven't done it already, patreon.com/thebigthingshow. Building it up, trying to get it to, we have so many different goals, whether it's Brett jumping out of a plane or Mike Kalinowski doing stand-up and Coy being nice to people on Twitter, Winston getting scared, me having to watch Red Sox games, all that and more. We'll talk about that. But thank you for coming out to the show. Whoever came out to the show, the stand-up show that we did on Saturday was a lot of fun. There was close to about 100 people there. And it was a hell of a time. We had a good time. Roxy Stryer absolutely crushed it as host. So without any further ado, let's get into it. It's the big thing. It's live here today. And just me and my lonesome and you guys. So let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Thing Show with me, Kristian Harloff. Thanks for joining me here today on this Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. And I had a great weekend. Got to see Godzilla Minus One with my daughter on her birthday. It was fun. We got to watch that movie, and I heard good things, and boy, it delivered. And we'll discuss that kind of in full. Just a moment here. And then Saturday night, we did the big show in Flappers, and it was great. Roxy was freaking out because she had never hosted before. She was supposed to do it with Steph. Steph had prior engagements, didn't realize it at the time when she said she could do it. And then we tried to move the date. We couldn't do it because of the club. And Roxy was like, well, I'll do it. And she tried to bail at first. And I was like, come on, you can't leave me without a host. And she's like, I won't do that to you. So I'll work on it. And she did. She's a pro, and she got it done. Ellis helped her with some stuff, and she was so good. She was so good. She hosted the show really well. Mark Ellis actually popped in, did a spot, and that was a lot of fun, obviously. And Coy went up, Winston went up, Kate, Brett, everybody had great sets, man. And you know who was really, really good as well? Everybody was good, but Chris Carr went up, and I was very impressed with Chris Carr. Kate Mulligan, like, and Kate says she's so likable. I was like, yeah, she's very likable. So we had a great time, and there was and to see a lot of you guys, it was fun. So for people wondering, will they be able to see it? I'm waiting to hear back from the club. And as soon as I can find out if I get the full show, I'm going to try to put it on Patreon. So, and then the other stuff that I'm trying to do, PLD asked me today, we put the Elemental review, or not review rather, but the, what was it? The reaction. Brett and I watched it, and we did a full on reaction to it, and it is definitely not safe for work. I'll tell you that. And that's up there. So I hope more of you guys will watch that, because I want to do more of it. And it's like, it takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to do. And we're laughing our asses off. And I think it's really entertaining. But for some reason, people see there's certain things you click on, there's certain things you don't. It's not doing well right now. It's doing fine. And people are like, we're going to do more of these. I was like, not after 2 hours. And like, there's like, 3,000 views on it. No. So hopefully you enjoy it and you watch it. And if you don't, give me a comment when you watch it, because we just got to put the effort into it, because we want to put out stuff that you guys want to click on. So, well, we're going to get into a few things here today, as we always do on the live show. I am going to go through the topics, throw in your super chats, and I will get to all of your questions, no matter how long it takes me. I will get to them at the end of all of the topics. So start throwing them in now. And once we get to the end of the news stories, I'll go through and we'll talk shop. And it can be about anything. You want to talk about comedy, you want to talk about TV, you want to talk about life, you want to talk about movies, whatever you want to talk about. So throw them in there and let's get started. I want to start with the first one, man. I want to start with this movie that we really have been talking about, and that is not this one, not this one yet, not yet. Where the hell is it? I put it out there. Is that it? No, all these different topics. See, this is why I don't do this shit. Come on, I put the freaking Godzilla things on up there. I'll have to edit it in there later. Is that it? Oh, that's why. That looks like Godzilla. Perfect. That's perfect. There he is. Godzilla in all his glory. Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking great. Look at him. He's doing really good. I like what he's doing with himself. Never looked better. Godzilla. Old Godzilla. All right, Godzilla Minus One. Let's do it. Godzilla Minus One is a film that I had heard some people talking about, and I know that Coy had, I think he hosted the premiere or something too. And then I just kept hearing things about it. And then longtime listener, viewer, Ed Harrell reached out and said how good it was as well. And said it's because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get to it. And I had said to myself, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I have any time on Friday, take my daughter, see if she wanted to go to the movies. And she said she did. She said, well, let's go watch Godzilla. I heard it's good. And man, we were just locked in. I'm not giving any spoilers, so don't worry. Some people worry that there's going to be spoilers. Oh, no, I don't have spoilers. I'm just going to tell you kind of the basis of the story, the outline is that a lot of the times when there's stories like Godzilla or Transformers or any of the monster movies and Transformer movies, they rely so much on the humans because they go, oh, people aren't going to just want to watch the monsters and the Transformers the whole time. And a lot of times it's like, yeah, we do, because you know why? These human stories are terrible. And they're so badly written, and no one cares. Whether it's the thing happening in the Gareth Edwards one with Elizabeth Olsen and what's his face, the freaking brother and sister, Aaron, whatever his name is. Yeah, I like him too. Kick ass. I can't think right now. My head's mush. But anyway, then you got Millie Bobby Brown, you had Matthew Broderick in the old school Godzilla one. No one cares about the human characters. And the same thing, Shia LaBeouf, who is normally a pretty good actor, is just reduced to nonsense in the Transformers movies and all that. And you're like, I don't care about these stories. Mark Wahlberg, I don't care. It's so empty. It's not the case with this. When Godzilla shows up, you're like, oh, well, it's part of the story, but I really care about what's going on in this film with these characters. I'm so invested in these characters. There's emotion behind it. They're building it out, and it's Godzilla is just a part of what's going on in this person's life, adding to the stress that's going on to the character in general. And it takes place in right after World War II. Well, it begins like as World War II is ending, right? And so there's a kamikaze pilot who just kind of bails on his mission. And when he lands on this island, they kind of question him, but they don't really have enough time to question him because all hell breaks loose. Godzilla shows up and makes himself known. So this pilot has to go back to the real world and do what he's got to do. And he meets somebody while he's there and forms a relationship and whatnot. And again, Godzilla shows up, but it's the PTSD of the war and the PTSD of the initial encounter with Godzilla and the relationships that this character is building throughout it, and not just with the potential romantic interest, but the group of people. Because as he's trying to live again, he's got to take a job, and he meets some peeps along the way, and that crew you care about and you understand as they're building them up. It's not just there's people there for comic relief, but it's not just comic relief. There's a reason I can tell you about each person and what their story is and why I cared about them. And that's what they need to do more in these blockbusters in general. Doesn't matter where it is. And I know, and this is hilarious. This is why I do Twitter. This is why I run, I post, I run away. I don't stand there and let people. I saw some guy, it was Too Cool Magoo, I call this guy, Too Cool Magoo. And he wrote, what did he write? He wrote something like some meme he wrote, because I wrote this post that essentially said, look, stop making movies for $200 million when this movie looked like it cost $200 million and it cost like 15 or 20. And then this guy, Too Cool Magoo, posts a picture of like, well, what it actually is, and inside of Japan, it costs X amount and this and this. So okay, basically, he was the meme itself was talking down to me and thought he was pretty cool. So I always, anytime I just kind of want to dismiss somebody, I always, the old school mall rats, tell them Steve Dave. And so the point of the fact that it's not the same over Japan is valid, where there's labor costs and other things, but it would cost $100 million? Let's say 100. Let's say 100. It's not 200. It's not 250. It's not 350 if you're Fast X. And you can make, and look at the creator. The creator was what? I don't know, 80 million or whatever it was. 80 million. And this thing was, and it looked really, really expensive. So you can do movies in the scale of 20 to 25 to 100 million, make you care about the characters. It's about, because the movie was written well, the characters you cared about. And when it was time for the big, and it's not just, and like, the Gareth Edwards Godzilla, there's a couple of times you see Godzilla-ish, like a lot of times trying to do the Jaws thing throughout it. And at the very end, Godzilla shows up, and it's great at the end of that first movie with the 2014 one or whatever it was. But this movie, to me, played more like Jaws, even though the Gareth Edwards one wanted you to feel like Jaws. This one played more like Jaws, and you still got to see a good, healthy amount of Godzilla, and it really, really worked. So as I posed in the title, I was going through this, like I'm going through so I'm making my list. Is it going to land at number one for me? It's got a good shot. It's got a good shot at landing at number one. There's a few other movies that I could go back and forth with, but it's got a good shot. It's that good. It's that good. And some people are like, well, I can't do subtitles. It reminded me of Avatar 2, when, for those of you who've seen it, there's a part, or is it Avatar 2? Yeah, it's Avatar 2, the beginning of Avatar 2, when Jake is essentially saying, well, I speak Na'vi all the time, so it's like, just kind of sounds English at this point. And it just kind of transfers over, and that's how they explain it. I felt like it was in English because I was so invested in everything going on that I could read it, watch it, not get distracted by it, and it just transferred over because it was that good. Storytelling was that good. This movie should be nominated for Best Foreign Language Film. People are like, oh, it should be nominated for Best Film. That ain't going to happen. I would love for it to happen, but it ain't going to happen. And I would love for it to be nominated in general. Just at all. It's so good. Again, I see it's always our good buddy Tim Sim who starts us off with the super chat. And as you know, Tim, I see your super chat, and I will get to you, and you'll be the first person I guess that I will be reading out here too. So if you guys have a chance and you want to be like Tim, throw in a question there, and I'll get to it as soon as I'm done with the rest of the topics. But I absolutely think that this movie is it's special. It's special, and I wonder. I like, and the only thing, the reason why is because it's a Japanese film. It's not an American film. But when the American films, sometimes they do something that is really popular, all the studios try to copy it, and they try to like steal the thunder from it. And even though I'm hoping, because this is a different, just because it's a Japanese film, I hope that people go, well, wait a minute, why are they responding to this movie? Because you're making us care about the characters. That's why. It's that simple. Make us care about the characters. because I guess I can just jump right into it. Um, well, this that's minus one still, but so Kong and Godzilla, I guess it is now. The trailer for this one comes out. And does it look fun? And is it cool to have Kong and Godzilla running around the joint together, um, fighting together? Yes, they're two different things. They're two different things for sure. And I'm going, and I think Ella said it best. You're just going to throw popcorn in your face and watch this movie. This is not going to be an investment film by any stretch of the imagination at all. But it's this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of this conversation, is that when this movie starts, I'm not going to want to see any of these stupid humans because they're not going to give me anything I care about, because it's just going to be about let's watch monsters beat the piss out of each other. And there's something to that, but what I'm going to say, this is the same thing, the points that I was trying to make here. This movie's probably going to cost 175 to 200 million dollars to make, and it's going to be, okay, right? Where it's like, I just feel that, imagine they would have done a story that you really care about with Kong and Godzilla, as opposed to, oh, isn't it going to be cool? Like a Rocky and Apollo moment. And like I said, I'm not crapping on these movies. They have their place. They have their place. But when the box office is doing what it's doing, there was the points that we were making the other day when it comes to why you're going to invest in going to the movies. It's because you want to make sure that you're getting your bang for your buck. And that's exactly what I got at a Godzilla Minus One. I got an experience. There's really good emotional moments. There's some surprises. There's some non-traditional things that happen where usually I'm like, oh, well, that's definitely going to happen. And they have some of that for sure. And it does. And it's rewarding. And then there's something that they do. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that at all. It was amazing. And my daughter said the same thing. We were both like, whoa, that was great that happened. I didn't even know it was going to happen. And I'd like to see that kind of stuff too, because the Kong Godzilla thing, as cool as it is, and I'll be there, and I can't wait to watch the two of them kicking the piss out of other monsters. It is a lot of the same old, in the same way that Aquaman is the same old, and the Marvels was the same old, and it's not just because of the comic book genre. It's because the stories are the same exact generic type of things that you see again and again and again and again and again. And the way you switch it up is, as I guess it's not as simple as it sounds, because it takes work, and it's good writing. Because there are a few of the movies that we've seen that does seem like AI wrote it. Hey, I need a superhero movie that does this and this, and at the end they need to do this, and then they have to do this, and then they do this. Same thing with Kong and Godzilla. It looks like the same thing we've seen a million times over. And then you get something like House of the Dragon or Fallout or the other one that we love, Last of Us. Now, those are TV shows, but it's writing. That's really all it is. It's all it is. And I did start watching the Monarch, by the way. I think I'm like 2 episodes in, and I was watching, and I like it. I like it a lot, actually. But this is the way that my brain works. I was watching Monarch. It was episode 2. No, or right before Kurt Russell shows up. I think it's in episode 2, and I haven't seen him yet. So it's right before he shows up, because for some reason in my head, I don't know why it popped in there, but for some reason, Major League popped into my head. And I went, ooh, I haven't watched Major League in about a year. So I stopped it, and I found it on Max, and I watched Major League. And it's phenomenal. And then, yes, I looked for the other stuff that was going on in Major League. Like that's in my top, I would probably say within my top 10 or top 20 movies of all time, favorite movies. It'd probably hit my top 10. It might. I love that movie more than anything. And there was something I found last night scrolling around. I mean, hardcore Major League fans we have in the audience. But there's a moment or deleted scene rather that I never knew about. Rachel Phelps, who is the owner of the team and the villain. Apparently there was a big scene. Well, there wasn't apparently. They filmed a big scene because I watched the scene where her and Lou Brown, have a conversation where Lou's about to quit. And she's like, I planned this whole thing out. I planned it all out. Never was going to sell the team to Miami. I scouted these guys. I did this. I wanted to do this because I was in love with him and her husband who died. And I wanted to make sure that I honored it. But I also wanted to motivate them because I could have sent everybody down to the minors, but it didn't. And they didn't keep it because even though it tested well, people love to hate Rachel Phelps. So they kept her the villain. And I did not know that. Interesting. Who's a troll? Oh, what'd I do? Did I do something? Oh, no. I don't know what you're talking about. Me? I am? What'd I do? Oh, no. We're just talking about somebody else. Are they yelling at each other? I don't know. Somebody yelling at somebody? Or yelling at me? No idea. Anyway, I've actually really enjoyed. Oh, okay. Scared me. Okay, princess. We're friends. Look at this, guys. I got this. I'm going to do a video about it too. I just got it. It's the one for 100, but I'm going to do it. I was waiting to do a video. I was waiting to get this before I did a video on it. So thank you. I appreciate it. And who do we have? I can get rid of somebody. I don't do that too much on the comments. That's why I do the super chats. It's easier for me to go through them. And people are asking me questions and stuff too. It's hard for me to monitor. That's why I think that's why these live streams have been a lot better than the live streams I've done in the past, because I'm paying attention to the stories at hand. And then I'm paying attention to the comments that are coming in. I know. And I see, first of all, thank you. I see everybody throwing in the super chats, and we're going to have a pretty good chat here in a second. And I'd love to get your thoughts on Godzilla Minus One if you've seen it so far. And we'll go over the box office in just a second. But before we do, as always on the channel, is to thank God that we are able to keep doing this. And we are blessed to be able to do this week in, week out, every day, 5 days a week. And it's because you guys support the show, and also because we have our wonderful sponsors also that supports the show. And I want to tell you about two of our sponsors right now. You guys have heard me talk many times about AG1, and I'm going to talk about AG1 and DraftKings right now. Here you go. All right, guys, let's talk about AG1. You guys know I love AG1. If you've been listening to my show, you've heard me talk about them, and I've been drinking them for about 2 years now, and I love it. Never been a vitamins guy. I've told you that. I take it all one shot. AG1. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommend AG1 to my friends. I recommend AG1 to my family. Everybody. AG1 is a team of doctors and scientists. It is tested for 950 contaminants and NSF certified for sport. It is formulated based on the latest science and maintains high quality standards. You guys know they've been with us for a while because you guys know too. You've all been checking them out, and everybody who's been signing up to AG1 says the same thing. It's changed your energy. It's changed how you approach things in the day. You're smiling more. You're running around the place, and you're sleeping better. I know. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why they've been a partner for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/big thing. Drinkag1.com/big thing. Check it out. Unwrap the first of many presents this season with holidays on the house from DraftKings Casino. With hundreds of games, prizes, promos, DraftKings Casino has everything on your list. Right now, new players who play $5 get $100 instantly in casino credits. What are you waiting for? Cozy up with all the classics like slots, blackjacks, roulette, or play exclusive games that you're only going to find at DraftKings Casino to feel the holiday cheer all along. Download the DraftKings Casino app now and sign up with the promo Big Thing. Use that code Big Thing and play $5 to get $100 in casino credits. That is promo code Big Thing, only at DraftKings Casino. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly, 21 and up. physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only, void in Ontario. One per opt-in new customer, minimum $5 deposit, max match 500 in casino credits, which require one-time playthrough within 7 days. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/player's choice for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Thank you to our friends over at both AG1 and DraftKings Casino. Like I've told you guys many times over, when you are able to and you have the means to and you can support by getting one of our wonderful sponsors, it does keep the show going. It keeps its longevity. That's what happens. The show, where you find one of the sponsors that you like and you go, oh, you know what? That's one that really I'm responding to that one. I think I can dig that one. Using our code, using our links, it helps. Let's talk a little box office, guys, because the box office, it's proving what everyone's been talking. It's proving. Because listen to this. Beyonce and Godzilla conquer the box office. All these movies have been trying to have successful box office weekends. Well, Godzilla and Beyonce's film did it. Beyonce's concert film, Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, is set to be at the top of the box office with the biggest early December opening since the Tom Cruise-led The Last Samurai made $24.3 back in 2003. Is that true? Biggest early December? Oh, early December. Okay. The film is reported on track to earn 21 to 24 million in its opening weekend, following an 11.5 opening day take on Friday, which includes 5 million in Thursday previews. It's a number in line with most concert films opening, as opposed to the younger skewing Taylor Swift, which launched to a gargantuan 92.8 domestically. Renaissance is also rolling out overseas, where it's expected to take in a further 20 million. Like with Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, exhibitor AMC Theaters is distributing the film, which has landed even more stellar scores than Swift's film did. A rare A+ cinema score from audience exit polls and a 100% from critics and audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not the only big winner. Godzilla Minus One snagged 4.7 million on Friday and is tracking for a strong 9 to 11 million weekend gross and third place rank, with men under 34 in particular rushing to see the film. Film is drawing rave reviews with an A cinema score with audience and a 97% from critics, 98% score on Rotten Tomatoes. It will come up just behind Holdover the Hunger Games, which will fall 45% in its third weekend for 16 million. Second place result. The news for everyone else isn't good. Angel Studios' faith-based The Shift, a modern retelling of the Book of Job, isn't proving to be a Sound of Freedom juggernaut, with a soft weekend debut of 4.3. John Woo's dialogue-free Silent Night isn't working out either. That film heading for a pitiful 2.5 million weekend, with reviews being mixed and a woeful C for cinema score. Things are just as bad for last week's newcomers, Wish and Napoleon. They're going to plummet in their second weekends with a drop of 63% and 66%. Both titles and Trolls are fighting it out for fourth place, with all heading for $7 million openings. All right, so this is all predictable stuff now. We're getting into predictable box office type things. Silent Night doesn't surprise me. It's not 1998 anymore. And this is, and not just because John Woo's a legend, but because you can see these types of movies on streaming. There's nothing that says you need to see that on the big screen. Godzilla Minus One, you need to see that on the big screen. You need to. You have to see it on the big screen. If you can see it on the big screen, if you can see it on IMAX, if you can see it in Prime, see it. Concert films, understood. It's different. You know your audience. You can, if you can't get to the concert, you can feel it in the theater with the way that the technology is now. It makes a lot of sense why these movies would do well. Trolls will building up will do fine. It also will get into the Marvels, I guess, where that's going to land. But like, if you're not doing anything different and you're not getting people to rave about it, because look, if Godzilla Minus One was not a good movie and it was just like the same old, like my daughter, who has never seen a Godzilla movie before this one, had her idea of it. And when she was thinking of old school Godzilla movies, she was thinking of really bad CGI because stuff she'd seen, and stuff that was probably corny. So she was expecting a corny movie. So it wasn't. Like, she teared up a couple of times and she was invested. And this is someone who knew nothing about Godzilla. So you can get the casual viewer like that. And it is that important. It is that important to do. And that is what I hope starts to turn around. And like these movies, like, and another reason that you look at the opening that Godzilla minus what 10 or 11 million, but on a $15 million budget, it's going to do well. Yes, I get it. It's different in Japan from the rules that they have. The point was made. I understand that, but it's going to make, if it was $100 million and the buildup that it eventually will have because of word of mouth, it's going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit, and people are going to want to see it more. I think it was probably, I don't know if it was strategic or not to have the Kong versus Godzilla come out. It was like, oh, you have it right around the same time. The interest for Godzilla in general. It just kind of said this to Ellis. It's like you do a new. This is a very dated reference, but I don't care. It's like putting a new ad out for Tab right when the new Pepsi came out. Like, ooh, it's Pepsi. It's yummy. It's good. I don't like Pepsi or Coke. I don't drink soda, but you understand what I'm saying. Brand. And like Tab. It looks like Tab. So, I'm thirsty. I have a drink. And I think it will automatically think of Back to the Future when I even say that. But the box office itself is starting to become more predictable of what's going to do well. Like, does anyone, please tell me in the comments if anyone believes that Aquaman 2 is going to make a profit, not hit $1 billion. I think everybody knows the answer to that. Is it going to make a profit? I'm so curious to hear whether you're watching live or whether you're watching in, back time. I really want to know people's thoughts. And as we get closer to I got more stories we're going to talk about, but I do see a bunch of the super chats that came in. Don't worry. I'm going to go through them. And if you want to ask me any questions, if you want anything in general that you want to bring up, now is the time. Throw it in there now, because I will. Yeah. All right.
Come on. Let's go. Spit it out, Harloff, you stupid ass. Pray to me. You'll be mass. You put your hands together and say, come on, big balls. Listen to any music, especially Lou Rawls. Come on, yeah. Hit me, mother.
Nice. Yeah. So the box office is no one is surprised, I think, at all. And anyway, so I do see the super chats coming in. I will get to all of those in just a moment. All right, I want to get to this Feige story because Kevin Feige they keep asking him about Tony Stark. And I was like, oh, because remember there was a big retreat story, that thing that came out in Variety, and like, oh, they're getting desperate. They're going to bring back Chris Evans. They're going to bring back Downey. Well, Feige said ain't going to happen. This is a new interview. But Dark Horizons, Garth Franklin, Robert Downey Jr. finished his portrayal of Tony Stark's Iron Man in 2019, Avengers Endgame, wrapping a run of 10-year films over 11 years and leaving the franchise on a high. Recently, there's been a lot of online speculation about his potential return, be it in the multiverse spanning Avengers the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars films, or sooner due to Marvel's recent critical and box office woes. Though Marvel has brought back characters who have previously died, Marvel president Kevin Feige said that's not going to happen with Tony Stark, and he's emphasized how important it was to preserve the impact of Tony's death in Endgame. Speaking to Vanity Fair, Feige says, despite the multiverse shenanigans going on, there was no plans to revisit Downey's emotional farewell. We're going to keep that moment and not touch that moment again. We all worked very hard for many years to get that, and we would never want to magically undo it in any way. Joe Russo, who co-directed Avengers Endgame, revealed Downey was reluctant to even shoot additional dialogue for the film as the character. We already said tearful goodbyes on the last day of shooting. Everybody had moved on emotionally. We promised him it would be the last time we made him do it ever. Downey Jr. himself seems to have moved on, scoring rave reviews for his work this year in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. The comments follow on from actor Chris Evans, also denying the recent reports, saying he has not yet been asked to return. Look, there's a lot of things that could happen, would happen, should happen inside of this. Like, you could bring any one of them back because of the multiverse. And would it bring back some people to, especially the casual viewers, if you did bring them back? Yeah. Do I agree with Feige's comments that it would downplay the moment? I do. Multiverse or not, it would downplay the moment because it really would, and we already know this, but it would signify like no one's dead. No one's dead because there's infinite amounts of versions of these people. Like, look what happened with Gamora. Gamora's back just like that. So bring Tony back. There he is. And you could justify it, but it doesn't take away from that. It demeans the moment. It takes it away. Like they could go back and they could find him. They could say, hey, we need your help. You can go back at any certain part in time and do it. If you wanted to go, you could say, hey, we need you to come back and help here. We need you to do that. We need this version of Tony Stark to come and help. I just think you got to be able to build. It's like wrestling. You have your old stars that build up your promotion and you're trying to build the new talent and they're not going over. So you just keep bringing back the old talent to headline and to win the titles and to do all that. And it's like, you don't give the new talent any chance to go over. And that's, they need to try, but they should also realize, and it seems like this is what's happening now. It seems like they're realizing that when it's not working, it's not working. So pivot. Because a lot of the people that they were trying to make work, not working. A lot of characters they've tried, and a lot of shows and movies that they've tried to do, not working. So pivot, do something else, try to figure it out, but don't stay. I wouldn't like. It's one thing, again, using instead of wrestling this time, stand-up comedy. You have a joke, and you're confident that the joke is going to work, so you take the joke out on stage, and you try it, and it just eats shit. You don't abandon it right away. You try it again. And you try it and you say, okay, this time I'm going to do it the same way that I did last time. I'm going to see, I wrote it and I was pretty sure it was going to work. So I'm going to do it again. And it bombs again. Well, now what you do is, well, let me switch it up a little bit. Let me change it just a little bit and see. You try it again and you just change it just a little bit, but you stay in the same joke and you do what you're doing and it bombs again. After a couple more times and it's still not working, either get rid of the joke, move and go somewhere else. Same thing. Move and go somewhere else. You tried a bunch of different things. It's not working right now. And there's no all-stars. There's no all-star. Like even Iman Vellani as Ms. Marvel, she's fantastic. And she is so charismatic. She can't lead the same way that like a Scarlett Johansson did, or like a Downey did, or a Chris Evans did, or a Chadwick Boseman did. You can't. She's not there yet. Eventually, she's a young kid still. But there's no all-stars yet. There's no all-stars, and they need to build something. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of messy right now overall. And speaking of which, I guess we can stay with the Marvels. And where did I have I thought I had a picture. Maybe I don't have a picture. But the Marvels actually had there's another report on them. And this is, where is it? It's the Marvels is to finish at a record MCU low. That's what that's what it is. Hold on. Let me bring that up for you. This is again from Dark Horizons. And I usually get a lot of most of my stories here, unless on Fridays I usually do comic book movie for Capes and Cows. All right, so the Marvels, the Marvels to finish at a record MCU low. The Marvels looks to officially be the lowest grossing installment in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, according to Variety. The trade indicates that in a note to press sent out today, Disney reportedly said, with the Marvels box office now winding down, we will stop weekend reporting of international global grosses on this title. The film has been out in the cinemas for 4 weeks and has racked up 80 million in North America and 197 worldwide. The film isn't leaving cinemas entirely yet and is expected to play through New Year's. However, the memo suggests the studio isn't expecting any sort of box office comeback. Certainly no chance of the movie beating The Incredible Hulk, which previously had been the lowest MCU record with 264, not adjusted for inflation. The Marvels fell to 11th place on the domestic box office charts this weekend with just 2.4 million A long drop from its soft 46 million start back on November 10th, which saw a disastrous 78% drop in its second weekend. It's a remarkable drop considering Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which scored worse reviews, released earlier this year and still managed to gross 476. It's also not expected to cross the 100 million mark at the domestic box office, a far cry from Captain Marvel, which snagged 153 in its domestic opening weekend, alone ahead of a 426 million domestic and a 1.13 billion gross worldwide. Bob Iger addressed the film's poor performance, putting it down to a lack of executive supervision on set. No word on a potential PVOD or Disney Plus release at present. Disney has previously opted to release titles such as Quantumania on PVOD approximately 60 days after release and on Disney Plus approximately 90 after release. It stinks, in general. Like, I never understood why people are cheering and super happy when movies do bad, but I think it's a bad movie, and I saw a lot of people that really enjoy the movie. And it goes right back to that kind of Last Jedi conversation. I saw a lot of people, there's the hateful morons out there who are cheering and screaming, saying, "Yay, it's great when women fail," turds. And then there's the everything is awesome crew going, this is a great movie, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you exactly why this movie is not doing well. It's because everybody who doesn't like it doesn't like women. It's like, no, there is certainly, as I just said, there's those people, but it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who do like it, and the one thing that I will say people need to stop is saying, well, it did bad because of the strike. There's a lot of movies that did well because of the strike. Five Nights at Freddy did well. Some of these there's movies that did well during the strike. And the same thing, even if they would have promoted, and this is what I told Winston when we talked about it the other day, even if it made an additional, which it wouldn't have, even if it made an additional $100 million, which is outrageous, that $100 million, like if people are like, oh, they wouldn't be able to market it if they would have been able to promote it, then it might have made money. They still, even if they would have added an additional 100 million, they would have still lost about $100 million, maybe 120. So you can't say that's the only reason because of the strike. Did it have somewhat of a did it hurt it? Of course it hurt it. Of course it did. Is it the reason why it did bad? No. And is everyone who doesn't like the movie misogynistic and just hates it because there was a woman of color who directed it, or there was women who were in it? No, it means they didn't like the movie. Also, totally understanding that there is a sect of people that do that, but you can't lump in everybody because of that. You can also say, look, it's a bummer. Look, there's the Mike Kalinowski brought it up, I think, on Twitter. He and I both like The Flash. I understand the criticisms behind it, and I can acknowledge it did really bad. There's movies that I like that have done really bad, and I could say, yeah, just didn't do well. That's what it is. Anyway, so go ahead and I see all the comments in there, and the super chats are in there. I'm going to address them. I think I have one more story I want to get to before I move on to it. But yeah, go ahead and throw those in there. I'll get to it in a moment. And before I do, also, like I said before, I want to thank everybody, all you guys, for putting those questions in there. And I also want to thank two more of our sponsors today. I know there's a lot of people who watch who are either up and coming content creators, have been doing it for a little bit, and want to get to the next step. And I'm so glad to be talking about both Kajabi, and then you can shave your balls. I guess that's the best segue I got, because you got that and Manscaped. Here you go. For creators out there, a lot of different creators out there, and I want to tell you guys about Kajabi. I want to tell you about them right now. I'm excited to tell you about them because if you didn't know, I think, look, I've been doing this creator thing for a long time. And what everybody strives to do is you want to be able to make enough to earn a living doing what you love. So Kajabi makes it easy actually to diversify your revenue. You can build your own brand, you can turn your audience into customers. Now, with the disruption of revenue streams from algorithm updates and product changes, if you're a creator and you don't use Kajabi to diversify your income beyond ad revenue and brand deals, you're leaving money on the table. And this is very true. Look, I told you, I'm planning on making a move. This is like this is my family, man. I'm everything. So this is something great. Earning a living directly from your audience is one of the most sustainable ways for creators to build a business. And you don't need a huge following to do it on Kajabi. You just don't. Creators and entrepreneurs value full ownership and control over their brand. With Kajabi, you have 100% autonomy with free customizable templates that you can make on your own, even if you're not tech savvy, and you keep what you earn. You don't have a huge audience, doesn't matter. You don't need it to make a sustainable income. There are thousands of creators on Kajabi making 6 and 7 figures with less than 50,000 followers. Try Kajabi and join the creators and entrepreneurs who have earned over $6 billion. Right now, Kajabi is offering a 30-day free trial to start your own business if you go to kajabi.com/bigthing. KAJABI.com/bigthing. Go to kajabi.com/bigthing and earn more doing what you love. Santa baby. Season for a fresh cut. It's finally here, guys. And it's a sponsor of today's show. It's Manscaped. You guys know I love Manscaped. You guys know I love Manscaped, and you should love Manscaped because I've been talking about them forever. They are the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, and they have just launched their 5th-generation performance package to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom this year. Take care of your special snowflake with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and watch your South Pole shine like never before. That's right, baby. Let's get into it. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com. But you got to use that code BIGTHING for 20% off, free shipping, and your Mrs. Claus will thank you. Manscaped, it's a one-stop shop for all your holiday needs. They have the perfect gift in the Performance Package 5.0, and it includes a lot of perfect stocking stuffers. Get this for someone that you love. They have so many great things. I use the Weed Whacker. I love the Weed Whacker. It's a great gift for your pops. Nose, ear hair. It's amazing. And how about boxers? Yeah, they got boxers. Take care of your chestnuts with Manscaped Boxers 2.0, featuring their signature jewel pouch to keep you calm, cool, and collected. Get 20% off, free shipping. Use that code BIGTHING, manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING. Say ho, ho, ho to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped. Thank you to our friends over at Manscaped and Kajabi. Going to put both the links in both the description and the pinned comment. So if you are able to support the show, please do. It helps tremendously. All right, Ocean's 11, or, you know what to do first? Let me tell you about Expendables 4. Just watched Expendables 4, and it's one of the movies that I saw. Well, you know me. I love Sly, Rocky, Rambo, a lot of Copland. Watched a lot of shit, man. The one he just did, Tulsa King. Love Tulsa King. Meriden wasn't the best, but he's got Expendables 4, and enjoyed watching the first couple of them because it's very similar to what I was just saying with Silent Night. Even in 2010 or whenever that movie came out, and they were putting together all the action stars, there was still that need of, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's put all these action stars together in this movie, and let's see what would happen. Let's like the who's who of all the big 80s, 90s action films and put them together. And that gimmick worked for a little bit. But as streaming and all these other things too, as massive and iconic as Stallone is, he's still susceptible to the fact that people they're not gonna support this movie, especially the fourth one, unless there's something super. It's the same stuff. It's the over CGI. It's the quips aren't as funny anymore. It seems like Statham's almost like kind of bailed on it. Their rep isn't as good. It doesn't seem fresh anymore. The idea of doing it, and I was bummed because I really wanted to love it, but it's just some of the. I mean, I was over it when they did it in Rambo. Let's stop with the CGI blood. Come on, It doesn't look real. Stop with the CGI blood. And I'll watch anything. I will tell you this though. Even if they do 5, 6, and 7, I'll watch all of them because I'm a Stallone guy, and I'm rooting for them to like kind of change it. I always feel like that if people try to switch it up a little bit and change it, they can change it. Be like, but to them, they probably like, well, it's worked in the past. Let's just do it again. It's kind of like what Fast and Furious is doing. Fast and Furious has lost money too, but they also spend a ridiculous amount of money. But this one is just, I just think the magic and the gimmick is gone. That's it. All right. Last story before we get to your questions. Let's talk about the fact that Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, going to be in this new Oceans movie. Again, Dark Horizons, right at the start of the year came the news that Barbie's Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling would reteam for an Ocean's 11 prequel at Warner Bros. Pictures. Filming on the heist comedy has been described as a story set in Monte Carlo in 1962 during the Monaco Grand Prix and serves as something of a remake of the original 1960 film that starred Sinatra, Davis Jr., and Angie Dickinson, among others. Jay Roach helms the movie, and the heist itself reportedly takes place on the private yacht of a famed shipping magnate. Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief and Notorious have previously been cited as big influences. Now, a new report at Showbiz 411 indicates that the planned film will be going by the title Oceans, with the pair playing the parents of George Clooney's Danny Ocean and Sandra Bullock's Debbie Ocean characters. The trade confirms Oceans will set up the more modern sets, Ocean's 11 trilogy and Ocean's 8. Filming was to begin mid-year, but the actor strike halted it, so it's not clear when it will resume production. So this is very smart, because it's a franchise that everybody knows, and it's now got these two. This is this perfect, I think, comparison to like Expendables into Oceans. If they would have done another Clooney one and had, I think they are going to do one with him and Sandra Bullock, right? But doing this first and setting a prequel allows us to say, okay, here's two stars that people already loved, but now they're in the biggest. I think it's the biggest movie of the year, Barbie, the biggest movie of the year, and they're both even more massive stars than they were beforehand, and they're teaming up again, and now they're in Ocean's 11, and now they're playing the parents of Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. And if you do it well enough, then maybe you'll make me care now to see the Oceans franchise continue. So this is a smart move. This makes sense. And I can understand this. And this is also changes it up a little bit to say, okay, let's get people in the audience who are going to just kind of want to watch this kind of heist film. Overall, maybe don't spend too much on it. Spend just enough. Spend your actor's salary, spend it just enough, and try to make money on it, and don't overdo it. Make it clever. Make it clever. They're both witty. It can be a lot of fun. So I think it works. What do you guys think? Okay. Now it's time to get into your questions. Like I said, you can throw in your questions as much as you'd like. Whenever, I'm going to stay on I'll stay on the stream for as long as the questions are coming in. So you don't have to worry about that. But I know there's been a ton of people who sent them in. So I want to make sure that I can get to all of them, and I'm going to answer all of them. And we always start with the great Tim Sim. And Tim says, and Tim, thank you again for you always starting this off, my man. And that's very generous. So I appreciate you. How are its chances for Godzilla Minus One to be a nominee for the Best Picture Oscar? P.S. Commiserations to your alma mater being hosed. I know. They got Florida State got screwed. And they kicked ass this year. Screwed, Tim. Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, terrible. I was going to go on an FSU rant, and so thank you for kind of setting me off there. But yes, I think it is. I will be happy, Tim, if it gets nominated for Best Foreign Language Film. That to me would be a win. I don't think it'll get nominated for Best Picture. Very, very unlikely. It's hard enough for, two things. It's hard enough for foreign language films sometimes to get nominated for Best Picture. It's rare. It happens, but it's rare. It's even more rare that the big kind of monster movie or science fiction movie could get nominated at all. But I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed. I hope it's like the big surprise of the year. And I hope it gets nominated for best foreign language film. I really do. Thank you, Tim. Again, Musty Reviews. What's up, man? Do you see reality if James Gunn's DC universe fails? Could Zack Snyder be brought back to complete his universe and expand on it? No, I don't, because first of all, I think that Zack Snyder is really going to make a push into this Netflix thing and see how well Rebel Moon does. Because if Rebel Moon does well, he can have a big career with Netflix, build out his whole universe there, do kind of the original IP and do that. He said the only way he'd want to return to DC anyway is if he does, like, I think it was, I forget which Batman it was, but it's like an older Batman that he'd want to do. Plus the fact a lot of those movies inside of the Snyderverse, whether he directed them or not, they didn't do well. So it's still a continuation of his stuff. A lot of the stuff that didn't do well. So the chapter's closed. It would be. And if, you know, Gunn and Safran have at least from 20, I mean, look, Superman to me is make or break. It's make or break. If Superman fails, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble because your other the little movies and other things, if you can't get people to invest, Superman's got to be the glue of the whole thing. And if that bombs, they're going to be in trouble. But I think they have from at least 2025 until like 2027. I don't forget how long their contracts for, but either way, no, I don't think they'd bring Snyder back. I think they might just kill a shared universe. It's probably what will happen. Probably just do like kind of one-offs what they did with Joker. That's what everybody thought they were going to do at one point. Hey, Screwface John. I remember. And I've been watching some of your videos. Dude, you can spit. Dude, check out Screwface John. I didn't realize that that's where you started, man. You're fucking awesome. Check out his channel if you guys didn't know already too. He's got bars, man. So Screwface John says, "Hey Christian, kind of topic, but last week you said something about doing a collab video. I tweeted you because I'm super down. I didn't see you tweet at me and would be honored to do something. How do I contact you about that?" I started following you on Instagram. So shoot me a message on Instagram because I'd like to do something with you. I'm not going to be able to throw the lyrics down the way you do, but I'll be able to. We can do something together for sure. But yeah, check out Screwface, man, and yeah, just hit me up on Instagram because I started following you on Instagram. Sweet, thank you again, man. That's the best. Okay, so Johnny, whose filmography do you like better, Tarantino or Nolan? That's a great question. John Wick 4 is still my favorite movie this year. Did that come out this year? Was that this year? Was John Wick? When was that this year? Maybe you're right. Was it February? I mean, everything blends in. It was March. You're right. Jeez, it felt like last year. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna make my top 10. It might. It'd probably make my top 10. Who do I like better? God, that's a tough one. Dude, that's a tough one. I'm going to go slight edge to Tarantino. Just watched Kill Bill 1 and 2 recently again. I got to rewatch them all again, but that's tough, man. I could say Nolan tomorrow. But today I'm saying Tarantino. It's a great question, and I hate you for it. Okay. Going to keep on going. Again, keep throwing them in there, guys. I'm going to do them as long as they're coming in. D. Murdoch. Hey, Christian, I just wanted to know your thoughts and hope for Daredevil and the MCU bringing back John Bernthal as a Punisher. I'm probably the only person looking forward to Echo, but I think it can be solid. I don't think you're the only person looking forward to Echo anymore. I think you might have been about 2 months ago, but I don't think you're the only person because one of the reasons I can tell you're not the only person is because I'm looking forward to that show now. I was not. I had heard a long time ago that they were going to cancel it and they weren't even going to put it out. Or they were going to delay it. That looks like what they're going to do with Ironheart. Apparently, Ironheart, they're not even going to release in 2024. But Echo, they are. And Echo, they're releasing as kind of like this hardcore spotlight show that what I'm hoping is that they decided that they were going to go more down the route for Daredevil of the old school kind of Netflix feel in the way that they gave Echo. Echo to me seems more of a companion piece to the Netflix series than it does to the MCU. And I would much rather see Daredevil do that because that's where we fell in love with John Bernthal's Punisher. That's where we fell in love with Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Like, don't give me the cereal, the sugary cereal version of it. We got him in She-Hulk, and he was fine in that. But let's do something else. Let's get more of that kind of hardcore feel, because it worked for Daredevil. And maybe that's my hope. My hope is that they said, it might work better to do it a little bit more hardcore. And they revamped the whole thing. So, but I don't think you're the only. I think that trailer got a lot of people excited. So, like I said, I think you might have been on an island. I don't think you are anymore. I really don't. I think there's a lot of people who are pretty excited for that show. That's okay. So thank you for that. And D, following that up. Speaking of the street level heroes, I hope Marvel will do a Midnight Suns project with characters like Moon Knight, Punisher, Blade, maybe Daredevil, and hopefully when they finally bring in Ghost Rider. Well, didn't they just announce that Moon Knight's getting to season 2? I think that they did, right? I don't know. We didn't talk about that yet on Capes, but I thought I heard that somewhere. And it'd be interesting. Look, that's the type of stuff, like when you say that, I wish like Coy and Winston were here, because that all sounds great to me. I'm just not as knowledgeable about it, but it sounds fun. It sounds great. I mean, I think like I said earlier in this show, pivots need to happen. Now, whatever those pivots are, don't be afraid to try things new. And they never were. But just don't stick to something because, you're like, well, we're going to show them this is going to work. And if it's not working, say, well, I guess they're not eating what we're giving. And it's not working. No matter how hard we try, they're just not buying it. So it's time to switch. And maybe what you're suggesting could be one of those ways to do that. Must-see reviews. Fun question. You can only watch one. Cobra Kai season 6 or House of Dragon season 2. Also, what is Dennis Zhang up to these days? Dennis Zhang I talked to. I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but we keep in touch. And Dennis is one of my favorite people in the world. He is just such a good human being, always there to help you out. When I was at Skybound, he came over and worked with us over there for a little bit. When I see him at screenings, we always try to catch up. And yeah, I love Dennis. So when you're probably going to inspire me to reach out and text him, because I always like to keep up with him, because he is one of my favorite people that I met while working at Collider, or before then, AMC. He's just about definition of a stand-up human. I love Dennis N. So I'm glad you brought him up. I like that. That makes me feel good, because Dennis is one of the good guys. You can watch either Cobra Kai season 6 or House of the Dragon season 2. House of the Dragon season 2. Because the way that Cobra Kai ended, they could have ended it. It could have been over. I'm still very excited that they didn't. And I'm looking forward to them finishing up where they know they want to go, and they have a clear-cut ending. But season 1 of House of the Dragon set up season 2 to be like, where's this going? And I would feel cheated if I don't know what happens next. If Cobra Kai was like, all right, we told the story, that actually is the end of the story. I'd be like, it sucks. I would like to see in the end, but I get it. So yeah, House of the Dragon, no doubt. I'm super excited for that one. Okay, Met Bull. Hey, I know Met Bull. He just puts in $4.99. Thank you, sir. Okay, keep on going. Oh, there he is. Got this. I guess he probably meant to do something. Sorry, I missed your take. What did you think of Punk's promo on Raw? I thought it was a new version of AEW promos. Let's get a good story going. We definitely need a good story for sure. I think that I saw he's getting a lot of criticism for that promo because it was kind of vanilla, right? The promo that he gave, it wasn't anything. He didn't really get into anything or go after anybody. Well, there's two things that I think about with that promo. One, he got Randy Orton and Dom went over the time limit in their match, and they had to cut his promo down by like 9 minutes. So they cut a big chunk out of what he was supposed to say or was going to say. So that's part one. Part two is he's going to be there for a little bit. You got time to build him up, and you got time to start the feud, and you got time for all that, especially leading into Royal Rumble, especially leading into WrestleMania. So everybody wants to hear him just bury people right away and go nuts. I get it. And he probably would have had a little bit more if he had more time to do, but like one promo, because this is the thing with anything. If he goes out and has a great promo on Monday, or when he comes back, I guess on SmackDown, and he has a great promo, no one's even going to remember this promo. No one's going to care. Not gonna. It's is we had a great debut or a great return rather, and then a subpar promo on Raw, and then he has a great one. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. But yes, I agree. We need a good story going with him for sure. Absolutely. Tim Sim, also curious about this thought. But when comparing post Endgame MCU and DCEU with Amazon Prime's The Boys, Gen V, and Invincible, how is it that Amazon's the best superhero content right now? Well, to be fair to DCEU and to MCU, they've been around a little bit more, right? So you had more time to fail, get bored with. The Boys, Gen V, Invincible, they're all fresh, they're all new, and they're all edgy, and they're all taking a little bit more time in development. They're all shows, so you got more time to develop. All three of those things that you mentioned at the end are all shows. So now MCU has shows and DC has shows, and Peacemaker was fantastic. But yeah, it's because DC had no kind of clear-cut plan of what they're doing recently, and they're all over the place. Marvel's is in a down after being up for years. So because let's say the Boys are on season, like you compare it to Marvel, by the time the Boys are on season 12, 13, and Gen V's on season 7, and Invincible's on season 6 or 7, is it still going to be fresh? So that's the reason why. It's just because it's time. They're in their sweet spot right now, and Marvel's not in their sweet spot anymore. Okay, thank you again, Tim. That was very kind to you as always. Are there any more? I think there's some more. If you guys, again, I'm going to keep going until there are no more. So as I answer these, if you decide you want to ask anything, please go ahead and throw the super chats in there and let's do it. Alex Tournay, hey Christian, without ranking them, which movies land in your top 5 of 2023? Also, what are the chances of you and Ellis starting a new podcast? Well, Ellis and I talked. What's funny is that Ellis and I we agreed. We went to dinner. I think it was for either his birthday. I can't remember where it was. Not too long ago, and we said we were going to start doing something weekly together on this channel, and we were going to try to do something live. And they were like, I don't know. And we were just going to kind of revitalize the Harloff and Ellis podcast. We were going to kind of do that. But I have a lot going on in this channel that I don't manage. I only have myself really as I'm building up, and I got screwed by that casting. It's better now, but I have to be able to balance my time. And the problem was we were going to do it on like Wednesday. I forget what night it was. It was going to be like a night that he could do it and I could do it. But then I'm like, yeah, but what can happen in a situation like that is I could get a screening. And if I get a screening, then I got to cancel it. Then I got to tell the audience, oh, we're not doing it this week. We're not going to be able to do it live this week because I have this screening. And I don't like doing that. We had to do that for Schmo sometimes. Like we'd have to either one of us would not be there, the other one. So we're still trying to figure it out. Like it was good to have him on the show, and he and I talked about it the next day about potentially doing a live show together, maybe in March or something. I don't know if it's LA or whatever. But yeah, it's just tougher because our schedules are kind of all over the place. But as far as what lands in my top 5, I'm not going to give you top 5 yet because I really don't know. I can tell you that Godzilla will land in there. Air will probably land in there. Holdovers might land in there. I don't know yet. I'll tell you what I loved was American Fiction. Love that too, but I haven't seen everything yet. I want to see everything first. And then I'll tell you what's going to land there. Because there's a few other movies that I still have to see. I'm going to see Color Purple. I'm going to see Saltburn. I want to see everything because also I'm going to have that show that I'm going to do with Roka and Dan. And I want to make sure that I'm caught up on everything. I can tell you that in TV, that the Bears definitely going to land in my top 5. I'll tell you that. Bear season 2. We did that one already. So thank you for that. Okay, I am scrolling through, seeing it. Oh, there's another one. Look at that, Simon, again. You guys, thank you so much. Simon section. Christian, I thoroughly enjoyed the UFO podcast 2 weeks ago, especially the Marvel references. Very illuminating. FYI, I prefer my angels to be triangle equilateral rather than. Did I say that too? That was fun. So that is kind of an inside joke. How about you, Mr. Chairman? There was a there was a comment that came in from some viewer talking about meaning to say angels, but instead said angles, and they're like, "What do you feel about angles?" And I said, "Like what? Triangles, squares, whatever it was." So yeah, so that's the UFO show. We got a shit ton to talk about. Riley's actually coming over today, and just when I finish the shit, he's gonna be here soon. And we have a very, very, I mean, it's gonna be stacked today. So if you are watching, tune in for tomorrow's show because there's a lot of crazy shit going on right now, and not great stuff too. So kind of depressing when it comes to if you're following that whole situation. Thank you, Simon. JLM, thanks, man. Not sure if this was brought up, but Godzilla Minus One will leave theaters after this Thursday. Is that true? I knew that. You know what's funny about that? I just had the Nerdy Nightly crew came out to see the show, and I was talking to them afterwards, and he had said that oh, I think that's out of theaters, and I said no, it just came out. I know that they had done a special screening for it, and then they brought it into theaters. I wonder if they'll keep it in a little longer now. But that's interesting that it's coming out. I maybe coming out of American theaters or in general. I wonder. Martial Arts Film Freak. It's a cool name. Expendables 4 was a disappointment. How do you cast? Yeah, I know. Dude, when they put him in there, I thought that he was going to do a lot more. And only give him a 2-minute fight scene before killing him off screen. Why can't Hollywood figure out how to use great talent? Well, that's the one thing though that happens a lot of times, right? Is people say Hollywood, and it's like it's not Hollywood. It's the people that there's good writers and there's bad writers. There's good writers in Hollywood and there's bad writers in Hollywood. It's not collective. It's like it comes back to this thing where you have to realize that the audience does evolve, and there's certain things that we like at first, like as I mentioned to you before, the gimmick of having people together and action stars together all in one big soup like the Avengers was enticing. But then it gets old, like anything else, it gets old. It's like what's new about this? It doesn't matter who you bring in, what champions from the UFC you bring in. It's like you've got to keep. Why is he interesting in this? And that's the writers. It's not Hollywood necessarily. That's the writers going, hey, you know what? Let's use like a lot of let's do him differently. What if he does this? Find what his strengths are. Maybe he's not the best actor. Find what his strengths are. Fast and Furious did the same thing. They like both Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are not great actors. They should have given better things to do inside of it. In the way that both Mandalorian and Deadpool used Gina, I thought they used her strengths well. Ronda Rousey, not a great actress. They didn't use her well in that thing, and that was the end of her acting career. Plus the fact that then she got knocked out right afterwards. But yeah, so I just think it's a matter of writing, to be honest. Thank you again for that. Very kind. Is that it? Nope, it's not it. The Raven Effect. Hey, Kristian, can you give me your top 3 Daniel Day-Lewis performances, please? Ooh, man. A world-class actor who does not get talked about enough since his retirement from acting. Yeah, I know it's right. You forget. It's like it's one of those things that like hopefully in like 30, 40, 50 years from now when he passes on, that's when everyone's going to really talk about him because he's one of the best, if not the best of all time. Oh, man. I mean, There Will Be Blood is pretty damn good. Bill in Gangs of New York, Last of the Mohicans. Those are the 3 that pop out. Now, those are the 3 that pop out. Doesn't necessarily mean that's my list. Those are the 3 that come to mind that I think of him right away. And Last of the Mohicans is always the one that I love. And Lincoln, I mean, shit, he's so good as Lincoln. There's a lot. So those are the ones that kind of stand out for me. But you're right. More people don't talk. It's the same way like Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's one of the best of all time. We don't talk about him as much anymore. Never Lose Your Nerd. Yep, let's go. Godzilla Minus One. Great movie. Fantastic movie. Really, really great. And I think that's it, guys. Oh, no, it isn't. I lied. I just lied to you. Princess Positive. Kristian, would you have any comment about Joel Silver being fired from Amazon since you worked for him once? Your perspective would be interesting. So I did read the report, and I'll just say it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me. Joel comes from a very different time in the way that the business and society in general worked, that you probably shouldn't have got away with talking to people like that back then. in the 80s and 90s and even when I was there. But yeah, he says that it wasn't, there was some other reason they wanted him off because of this and that. Who do I believe? I'm going to go ahead and believe Amazon on this one. I'm going to say that, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and believe Amazon. I think that Joel was could be a very emotional old school guy. And do I think that he probably said things in a way that he's very used to for years and years and years and years without realizing that we don't live in that kind of time anymore, and that there are that people are going to go, you can't talk to me that way. I'll see you later. Yeah, and he doesn't have the power that he used to have anymore, too. So, do I know for a fact that that's what happened? No. Do I have my opinion that it probably is factual? Yeah, I do. So, yeah, I will say this: he never talked to me. He was never abusive to me. So I can't say that. He was always nice to me when I saw him, but I definitely there were times that I heard him yell and scream and stuff too. And it was not necessarily at anybody in the office, but like on the phone and other things too. And yeah, and that was in 2006, 2007, and no one said shit. But like now, today, people are gonna say shit. So, Simon Section. Wonder, nuts, if you heard of the scar-shaped meteor Uyumama. No, I haven't. Which might be sentient life. I haven't. I have not heard of that. But thank you for putting it out there. I think that's it. Guys. So thank you for joining me here today on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you again to everybody who tuned in. And if you're able to support the show, and you can check out one of our wonderful sponsors, it helps out tremendously. I'll put that in the pinned comments for everybody who threw in the questions. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow, Mark Riley and I, on UAP Tuesday. We'll be back on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll be back. I'm going to do my walk-in non-spoiler review. I got a couple other things, but if you're able to and you want to check out the thing that Brett and I did for the Elemental, please check it out. A few other things that I wanted to, as I mentioned to you before, if you can, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the Patreon, trying to get to at least 400 of the paid patrons. If you can do that, get us there. That's our first goal. Go check it out. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow for the big thing. It's me. Peace out.